Última hora. El hijo del titán acaba de enviar importante mensaje. China está invadiendo el espacio aéreo de Taiwán. El ilegítimo está permitiendo que el Partido Comunista Chino invada países sin temor alguno. Taiwán denunció la incursión de 20 aeronaves de combate chinos en su territorio. Taipei aseguró que las aeronaves entraron en su zona de identificación de defensa aérea. En lo que representa la acción de mayor alerta hasta el momento. El Ministerio de Defensa de Taipei indicó que desplegó cohetes de impacto guiado para monitorear la incursión, que tuvo lugar en la región sudoeste de su zona de exclusión aérea, y que envió advertencias por radio. También indicó que algunas de las aeronaves volaron a lo largo del sur de Taiwán y atravesaron el canal de Basi, que separa a la isla de las Filipinas. Entre las aeronaves detectadas se identificaron 4 aeronaves pesadas H-6K con capacidad nuclear, y 10 aviones de combate Xianyang J-16. El ilegítimo está dejando claro que el partido chino puede hacer lo que se les venga en gana en todo el mundo. Como invadir países aliados de Estados Unidos. Jamás el Partido Comunista habría invadido a un país bajo la administración del titán porque saben que el titán no negocia con socialistas. Hoy también se pronunció la esposa del hijo tercero del titán. Lara en entrevista afirmó hoy que están silenciando al titán en todas las redes sociales. No quieren que el titán diga la verdad sobre todo lo que está sucediendo con el país y con el mundo. El ilegítimo puede hablar lo que él desee sin que sea silenciado. Como si de una especie de régimen de extrema izquierda se tratase. A continuación el comunicado del honorable hijo del titán, y después el comunicado de Lara, quien es la esposa del tercer hijo del titán.
This week, our ally, Taiwan, a good player in the region, obviously adversarial to China, experienced the largest incursion into their airspace of military aircraft from China ever. Now, does anyone with a brain actually think that that's coincidental? Does anyone actually think that the Chinese did flights, breaking into Taiwanese airspace, testing these things? Do you think that's coincidence that it happened, the week that Biden can't walk up a flight of stairs, can't remember where he is in a press conference, where it's clear that American leadership is virtually non-existent at the top? You think that the Chinese are watching Joe Biden and saying, this is awesome. There's no leadership. There's no strength. There's no power there. So we can go do whatever we want. Of course they see that. The whole world sees it. Vladimir Putin was laughing his ass off. Okay? He was laughing his ass off when he was watching Joe Biden try to get through that press conference. The guy couldn't remember where he was. On numerous questions, he just sort of, okay, well, anyway. Brain dead. Guys, it's absolutely ridiculous. The same week that Joe Biden couldn't walk up a flight of stairs on Air Force One, and the military, or the White House, I guess it was really, says, oh, no, it was the wind that knocked him over. The leader of the free world doesn't get knocked down by the wind, folks. Okay, so our enemies are watching. Like I said, China is testing their boundaries in Taiwan because they have nothing to fear from America right now. They know that we are weak because our leadership is weak. Vladimir Putin literally called out our president and said he wanted to debate him live, unscripted, for the whole world to see because, and essentially, I quote, it would be interesting for Americans and Russians to see us debate. Of course he knows that. He knows that Joe Biden can't get through anything, unscripted or unprompted. He can't, it doesn't matter when the media can't cover for him and lie for him as they did throughout the election cycle. All of a sudden, it's a very different thing, and we're all seeing that now. So our enemies are emboldened because of the weakness at the top, because of Democrat policies and Democrat politicians that are pushing nonsense, woke crap that will do whatever they can to elect a guy like Joe Biden who can't remember where he is most of the time. Our enemies see this stuff, guys. They see this stuff and they react. They are thrilled that America doesn't appear to be at the top of the food chain of the world anymore, and they are going to pounce because they've been waiting for this moment for decades. It's just under Joe Biden and Democrat leadership today, that's what's happening. That's what happens when you have woke military pushing ridiculous policies in the same week. Our enemies are looking at that and they're laughing. They're saying these guys are more concerned about not misgendering or getting the correct pronouns for someone than they are about actually defending ourselves or our allies. And honestly, guys, as an American, I agree with them. I'm looking at that stuff too and say, how does this help secure America? It doesn't, but that doesn't matter because Democrat woke policies and their lackeys in the media will keep pushing it no matter what. And we're going to give up our rightful place as the leader of the free world because of it.
Ahora, la entrevista a Lara, quien es la esposa del tercer hijo del titán.
Really want somebody in Washington, D.C. to represent the values, quite frankly, that Donald Trump did. They want people that care about putting America first. They want to make sure that we have jobs that are abundant in America again, that, you know, we face what is going on the southern border and we tackle it. We cannot have a broken immigration system like you currently see under the Biden administration and think that that's going to be a positive thing for America. We cannot move forward in the way that we have been on our southern border. It's going to destroy our country. We need strength in Washington, D.C. We need people to stand up and do what's right and put America and Americans first.
You know, one of the most genuine qualities that you have, and as well as the rest of the family, is that you are real people. You're not just some, you know, ideologue who speaks well, who goes on TV and has, you know, pushes this agenda. You are actually real people. You're very down to earth. You're normal folks. You relate. You can go into a bar room, a boardroom, or a bowling alley and have the same conversation with every single person. So, you know, one of the big things that President Trump has been cut off from recently was Twitter and Facebook and all these, his ability to reach the normal person who at home elected him because they were like, hey, that's my guy. So, you know, there's talk that he's getting onto this new social media platform, maybe something called Free Space, maybe something else. What else can you tell us about that?
Well, I'll leave that up to him to make the big announcement. But look, I do know that there are roughly 75 million Americans, and probably a lot more than that, that feel like their voice does not have a home anywhere. You know, they can't go on any of these social media platforms as they currently exist and speak freely, quite frankly. They are censored. As conservatives, we know we are censored. We have all felt it. We've all seen it in different ways. And that's not right. So I think what my father-in-law wants to do ultimately is give people a space where you have your First Amendment right to freedom of speech. You have the ability to, you know, say whatever it is you want to say, and you're not going to have the fact checkers, Carl, pouncing on you every instant. You know, I thought it was ridiculous during the campaign that I would post a photo of my children and I would get some sort of a bar at the bottom that said, like, fact checkers about COVID-19. And I'm like, this is about my kids. It's crazy. We need freedom and people want that. So, look, who better to provide it than President Trump?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Look, I posted something on Twitter the other day where I was quoting a CDC article. I had the screenshot of the CDC and it said, talking about COVID-19. And I was like, they were like, well, you know, fact checkers, independent fact checkers have deemed this out of context. Out of context? What the heck are you talking about? You see it all the time. No. So,
yeah.
All right,
it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, so, you know, many Republicans, they still, myself included, we still crave Trump's input on things because, you know, the guy, for everyone's complaints about him, the guy cared. He gave a darn about the American people in their home. Are they better off than they were 4 years ago? And it was the economy. That was his driving factor. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are going into primaries. They're going to primary some of these GOPers, these rhinos, that didn't uphold his agenda. They said they did, but they didn't. They never actually put both feet in the water. They just kind of dipped their toe in. And he's going out and he's endorsing some of these people now. Talk about the dynamic of a presidential endorsement in a GOP primary, which, you know, former president rarely does anything like that.
Well, as you know, Donald Trump follows his own rules, and this is no different. But look, I think these rhinos, as you adequately put it, are part of the problem. They're part of a broken system that really is not working for Americans anymore. And so I think we saw how impactful over the past 4 years an endorsement from Donald Trump could be for so many people. So look, this is something that he feels very strongly about. You are never going to fix things if you keep having people who call themselves Republicans but don't vote that way, representing the people of this country. It doesn't work. So I think what he's doing, it's pretty bold, but again, this is something that we have come to expect from Donald Trump. We know that his endorsement carries a lot of weight. He oftentimes gets people over the line if they're struggling to get over. But yeah, in a primary, it is unique, but I think it's going to be really helpful for people. And look, we need some good America First people that care about this country, that love America, and that want to see the right things happen representing people in Washington, D.C.
It's funny you mentioned the right things happening. So this just came out the other day that Bernie Sanders, of all people, he took his shots at Trump, obviously, but he made an interesting statement that he's really uncomfortable with Trump being kicked off social media, specifically Twitter. And he went nuts over this. Check this out.
This is a bad news guy. But if you're asking me, do I feel particularly comfortable that the then president of the United States, could not express his views on Twitter? I don't feel comfortable about that. Do you want the internet to be used for authoritarian purposes and insurrection, if you like? No, you don't. So how you balance that, I don't know. But it is an issue that we've got to be thinking about, because if anybody who thinks, yesterday it was Donald Trump who was banned, and tomorrow it could be somebody else who has a very different point of view. So I don't like giving that much power to a handful of high-tech people.
Totalitarian communist Bernie Sanders says, I don't really want people to have that much control over stuff. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, it's one of the few things that I agree with Bernie Sanders on here. I mean, he's exactly right. Whenever these people, they shield themselves behind the idea that these are private companies and that they don't have to follow the same rules as other outlets. They absolutely should. Our First Amendment rights to freedom of speech should be upheld across the board, period. And that should be just the bottom line here. But when you have people who have the ability to censor and shut down the President of the United States, that is really scary. What he said there is 100% accurate. You might not like Donald Trump, but if it's Donald Trump today, it could be your guy or your girl tomorrow. It could be you tomorrow. So think about how scary that is whenever the power, these people are so powerful that they could.
Suscríbete al canal Tu Mundo Ahora y activa la campanita, así no te perderás ninguna noticia de los hechos más importantes de América y el mundo.